What's going on, you guys? This is All Day Day 1, and I'm going to be giving you guys another Tales of Arise video. So this video I'm going to be giving you guys is I'm going to be going over a lot of the accessories. So I've had some questions about like what's the best accessories to use for certain characters, and just pretty much best in slots. Now this is all pretty much going to be based off of your own playstyle. So I'm going to be showing you a few different accessories for some of the same classes, because you might want to actually be using a certain character, whereas I might not want to use that character. So I have accessories for when they're being benched and for when they're actually being used as an AI or being used for yourself. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first one I'm going to start off with is going to be Sara. And the only accessory that I would really recommend for Sara is the resist ring. And the reason why is because she already has a lot of defense as it is and resistance without needing to add any extra substats or stats, main stats, to her accessories at all. As you can see, I'm at 1522 defense and 1422 resistance. And she already is capped out on health, so there's no reason to put anything in here for that as well. And when it comes to your weapons, if you have seen my latest video about how to get the Devil's Arm weapons or the weapon types, which is what I'm using, you technically don't need to use any accessory that gives you attack or magic damage increase, because it's gonna cap to 9,999 anyways. So I just thought, you know what, I don't really see a point in going into those really too much unless you're starting out in the game. But this is more towards for like the best in slots for just in general. But yeah, and also the thing is, Sara, she can put out damage. Don't get it wrong about that. Like, she can still put out a lot of damage. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd rather have her be as tanky as possible. So just in case if there is something that's going to one-shot people, she can be alive, she can stay alive, and just tank through everything possible. And pretty much hold the aggro, being a true tank. Hence why she's got a big shield. So with the resist ring I have, obviously the resist ring comes with a 20% negation to all elemental damage. And then I added 3 elemental defenses, so that way it totals up to 180. And then I gave her the increased aggro L. The L stands for large. This way she can hold aggro a lot easier than if she didn't have that. And obviously, it works both ways, whether you want to play as Sara or have Sara as a AI companion. You can have both or one or the other, but still you can use the same accessory. It's not going to change anything. But yeah, let's go ahead and go to Elfin now. So for Elfin, I gave him the stamina ring, but this is only when you yourself is actually playing as him. And the reason why I gave him the stamina ring is because when I normally play as Elfin, I tend to use a lot of my AG pretty quickly. So I gave him the stamina ring, which gives a 50% AG cost chance reduction, or being able to reduce it by half with the 50% chance, on top of an extra 40% because of the 2 AG cost reductions by 20% that I added on. And then I also put on Glutton for Battle and Coup de Grace. I think it's called Coup de Grace or Coup de Grace. I don't know how to pronounce it. But here's what they do. Glutton for Battle, it says increases damage dealt by 5% for each enemy on the field. And the Coup de Grace increases damage dealt for artists that consume all AG by 15%. So pretty much once I use up all my AG, I'm going to be doing 15% more damage. Even though it's going to be slightly harder for me to use up all my AG because I have pretty much 90% chance of consuming only half of my AG cost. So like if something costs for 2, it's only going to cost me 1 AG. If it costs me 1 AG, then it's only going to cost me half of that. So yeah, that's obviously the reason why I use that. Now if I have Elfin benched, meaning if I put him on the support team, I normally just switch and put on the impact ring with the 4 BG charge rates. And the reason why I do that is so that way I can still make use of Elfin rather than just occasionally using his boost attack. I can give him more damage for his boost attack and making it to come back a lot more often than just waiting whatever I normally would wait for. Sometimes I've been able to have his boost attack come back to back every like 4 or 5 seconds. Not all the time, but a lot of the times it's pretty quick, and it's really nice because his boost attack is actually extremely powerful. And the good thing about having him on the support is even though he's at 1 health, with being able to spam out your boost attack, he's not going to die because he's on the support team, which means he can't take damage or anything like that. He's just never going to die. You'll be able to use that more often. So, yeah, that's why I use this accessory for him when it comes to that. But, yeah, if you want to have him in the actual team as an AI, I would recommend putting on the Pierce emblem. And with the Pierce emblem, I would also put on the BG charge rate. That way, or 4 stacks of BG charge rate, so you can still make use of using the boost attack. And if you don't want to do that, then you can still go with the what is it called? The Pierce emblem and stack plus 120 penetration 4 times, so he can still have a higher chance of knocking enemies down or breaking their armor and whatnot. But yeah, for myself, like I said, I mainly just use Stamina Ring because I just find it way better. I was having a lot of a better time using this overall. And now let's go ahead and go on to Xinyan. So there's been a little bit of a debate on Xinyan on whether you should use the accessory that allows her to get up to 60% CP cost reduction, or give her a fully stacked casting time. Basically the Mystic Crest. And for me personally, I would still go with the Fairy Ring regardless of how many gels you have, because I'm just gonna show you real quick. I have 99 orange gels and and only 17 pineapple gels. I didn't have enough money to keep buying more pineapple gels. But the thing is, I don't really want to rely on using them. I have them just because, just in case. I like having a full stack of consumables. But I personally would rather just keep her with the Fairy Ring, because the thing is, if you go with the cast time, the way I have my strategy set up for her is she's constantly healing whenever any of her allies are taking damage. So if anyone takes any damage, she's going to drop a heal circle. If anyone drops below 75% heal or health, she uses Revitalize. So with all the amount of healing she's doing, I'd rather have her have the cost reduction versus being able to use her healing abilities faster. Now, it's really nice to have her abilities proc out a lot faster, being able to use it a lot faster, but for me personally, I don't really think it's going to be the best idea unless you are using her for an offensive gameplay only rather than healing. But personally, I don't think that's also the right way to go unless you're playing on easier difficulty, or you're playing early on in the game where you don't really need her to constantly heal spam versus just using more offensive abilities. Then the Mystic Crest, the cast time, this would be a lot more useful than it would be to have her constantly spam heals. Now, unfortunately, the Mystic Crest and the Fairy Ring, you won't be able to get these until way further down the line in the story. It's just gonna be a while for you to get these. If anything, you'll get the Mystic Crest before you end up getting the Fairy Ring, because the Fairy Ring, the materials you get for it is in the very last area, right before the final boss of the story. But yeah, that's it for Xinyan. Let's go ahead and go to Rinwell. So I was testing out a few different variations for Rinwell. I tested out a full like elemental attack build. So I gave her a 15% elemental attack with up to, what is this, 240 extra elemental damage, which obviously puts her an additional 680 elemental attack, which is a lot. I also did the full-on Pierce emblem with this, with the AG recovery speed, because that way I was able to kind of use more spells more often. And I also tried using the other Mystic Crest setups. So yeah, but the one I stuck with the most is the full-on cast time. Like, it's fully stacked on cast time. This one isn't too bad because it's still a 30% cast time reduction, but you also get Glutton for Battle and Coup de Grace as well, which is technically damage increases. And yes, I did see a damage increase, but I was clearing slower because I was able to get my abilities out much faster with a 40% cast time reduction versus a 30% with the additional like 15%. So normally I mean, it's a 5% increase for each enemy, but normally there's like 1 to like 4 enemies. So I mean, that's a 5 to 20% damage increase, which is still a lot. But you know, once the enemies kind of die down, it goes down to 5%, and 5% is really not that big of a difference. For me personally, I'd rather have that 10% reduction in cast time. And then this is what also makes it really good, because she does run out of AG quite a lot, so you automatically get that 15% damage increase as well. But I don't know, like for me, it's kind of neck and neck. You can personally go either or. These would be the only two setups I would go with. I wouldn't go with the magic emblem stacking all magic damage or stacking up light damage, even though that's still a valid idea. It's something I would go with early on in the game. But once you once you can start crafting mystics and farming for the mystic ores, I would just stick with the mystic. I wouldn't go for anything else, because this is going to make her a lot stronger. And I mean, when I say a lot stronger, I mean she's gonna be putting out so much more damage that it's just not even funny. But yeah, I mean, that's the only two setups I would go with for Rinwell. So now we got Dualim. So with Dualim, you're gonna want to end up either going with the Impact Ring. If you're actually using him, I would recommend using the Impact Ring and stacking with the BG charge rate, because his boost attack is actually pretty crazy. It does it doesn't do a lot of damage, but the fact that it keeps an enemy snared, and not only that, it can also break their armor because of all that extra penetration he gets, is really insane. Now, if you're not going to be using him, but you want to use him more for support, I would get him a fairy ring as well, just like with Xinyan. The reason why is because he has a lot of really good support abilities. He has healing, he has revives, he can apply a shield and an AG recovery buff for his allies. So all these different buffs, all these different support skills is going to cost quite a lot of CP as well. But if you do have him play as support, you're probably going to keep him as a, I guess, quote unquote, um, off support, like an off tank. He's not fully support, but he's still there. Like, he's able to be like a backup support just in case if Xinyan is down, or if she's like already doing an ability, he can always cast a heal as well, or you know, just so and so. But he can also still do quite some damage, as well as having his boost attack still do a lot of damage. Now, again, if you do actually play as him, or you do switch to him time to time, I would again highly recommend the impact ring with a maxed the BG charge rate. Again, this is such a powerful accessory. I don't really know how else to explain it, but it makes it really fun to use him versus just using any other item. I did try using the stamina ring, and I didn't really think he needed it, to be honest. Like, it was cool because I was able to keep spamming abilities a lot. But the thing is, with the BG charge rate, with how fast he's building that up, his boost attack, they're never gonna really need to worry about AG costs. The only reason why Elfin uses this is because if you're spamming your boost attacks on Elfin, you're gonna be needing to heal quite a lot. But yeah, that's honestly the only thing I would really use for him. Cast time, he doesn't need this at all. I tested it and didn't like it at all for him. It just felt too slow and too wonky. So the last one is going to be for Law. And Law, the only accessory I would ever give him is anything that increases penetration. So Impact obviously is going to be the #1 choice. Even though it reduces his resistance by 80%, it doesn't matter. The only reason why I use this is because this, well, one, penetration increases your crit chance, but it seems like crit chance on this game caps to like 20%, 20 or 25%. So don't worry too much about going just for the crits. It's to knock enemies and break their armor. And the fact is, Law can already break armor with using his boost attack, but sometimes he can't break the big enemy's armor in one hit. So with the more penetration, his boost attack is pretty much not guaranteed, but it's more than likely going to break enemy's armor or have a high chance of doing so. And not only that, but his attacks as well. And he also gets a charged attack, a charged punch. I don't remember what the skill is called, but he gets a charged punch that will do quite a lot of damage. Like the highest I've hit with him was about like 30 to 40k with it. Even though with Elfin I've hit like 100k charging the I don't remember what that skill is called. I mean, it drained all of my health when I did it, but I mean it was still like 100k, which is quite a lot. But for Law, the impact ring is going to be super useful, and I would highly recommend stacking just all penetration so you can have up to an additional 480 in the substats. And I mean, again, like this is just it's insane. Obviously you're going to be staggered more often. Resistance doesn't mean you're going to take damage a lot. It just means you're going to be staggered, and it's just going to, sometimes if you get hit in the mid animation of using a skill, it'll just stop you from using that skill. But the good thing about Elfin is he doesn't really have any charge attacks that you really need to worry about using all too much. A lot of his attacks are fast and pretty fluid, kind of like Dualim. But Law's attacks are actually stronger than Dualim's. I guess continuous attacks, continuous combo attacks, I guess you want to call it. If you don't have the impact ring, then just go ahead and use the penetration ring, the Pierce emblem, which you can actually start farming for the Pierce emblem in the second region, the snowy area, in the first map, I believe, because it drops the thorn ores. The thorn ores is what's going to allow you to make the Pierce emblem. Now, obviously, if you don't have neither piercing or impact, then just go with the warrior until you can. But the warrior and the magic, honestly, is something you would only really use for like the first couple areas or first couple regions. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Law. Again, like this is the only accessory I would ever use for him. Now I know this was kind of a long video, and a lot of the best in slot accessories I had mentioned. Again, this could be somewhat opinionated, even though I did test through all of the accessories. I tested several different combinations, and I just tested. There's only one accessory I have not been able to test, and that was the movement speed one, because I don't know where to get the fleet foot accessory material from. But what it does is it increases movement speed by 50%, which could actually be pretty fun to use. I don't know how useful that would actually be, but it seems like it could be pretty fun to use. Aside from that, I have tested every single different accessory, as well as the substats and different combinations, and I just found all these to be the best ways or the best accessories to use for each character. Again, it does come down to certain playstyles as well. There will be players that won't agree with the way I have my accessory set up, which is completely fine. If you have different setups that you enjoy using, put that down in the comment section as well, and so other people can test it out, and maybe it might be the actual quote-unquote meta or whatever you want to call it, best in slots. But yeah, that's pretty much it with this video. Hopefully this helped you guys out. If it did, go and leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know down in the comment section as well. If you would like to see a video on where all the ores are for specific accessory types, let me know as well. I know where a lot of them are. I don't know where all of them are, but I know where most of them are, especially the ones that I needed, like the stamina one or the impact, or the fairy ring, etc., etc. I can show you guys where all of those are if you want to see that. I will post a video on that eventually, unless you guys want to see it pretty soon. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Have a good day, good night, and peace.